I remember some years ago, they were doing work at the church and they never told me about it. Never asked me to come and work. And when I got there, this was at another church, when I got there the next day, I was confronted, why weren't you here to help? Everybody else was here. And I said, well, first of all, nobody told me. See, you can't expect somebody to do something if you don't ask them.
Exactly.
So you can't expect God to do something for you if you don't ask Him.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
But let me tell you something. How many of you know that God has His own timing?
Yes.
Sometimes we ask God and it doesn't happen and we get discouraged. And because we get discouraged, we hinder the process that's taking place that we don't know that's taking place. I've said this before and I'll say it again. How many of you ever been to a play? You see the big curtain? And you see the people walk out on stage and they deliver their Hamlet or whatever their character is, they speak. And then they rush off the stage and a new group comes on. But we don't see what's going on behind the curtains. We don't see the scurrying about. We don't see the costume changes. We only see what's in front of the curtain. And that's the way we are. We ask God to do something and He's got angel activity all around us, bringing all these things to place. But because we don't see it immediately, we get discouraged, and then we confuse our angels. I told Dennis recently, I said, Dennis, stop speaking negative things because you're confusing your angels. The angels are working on your behalf, and then you say something that confuses them and causes them to do the opposite.
Yep.
If you speak negative words all the time, you will have negative results.
Yep.
Speak life.
Yes.
The Bible says that there's power. The power of life and death in your tongue. Speak life. Speak healing. Speak health.
Positive thinking.
Amen.
What happened to Dennis today?
He's not here today. He's just having some problems today. Just keep him in prayer.
Yes.
Okay.
I was sharing with the people earlier that he quit his job at Olive Garden for another job, and they had him in one day and then called him us and told him they didn't want him.
Oh,
Just keep him in prayer. He's really discouraged
yes.
today. Amen. That's, you know what that is? That's a distraction.
Yes.
That's to get your mind off of the Lord.
Yes.
Yes.
And it worked. He said, I don't feel like coming to church today. I don't want to be around people today. The place he needs to be.
The most.
Not criticizing him.
No.
I just know the tricks of the devil. There's been times I didn't feel like going anywhere. There's times I didn't feel like getting out of bed. So I'm not going to criticize someone for feeling the same things that I have felt in the past.
Amen.
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 But as we grow, we recognize the trick of the devil. Let me tell you something. If you wake up on a Sunday morning and you have a strong desire not to be in church, get up and get dressed and get in church.
Amen.
That was this morning.
Now, see, you know, the reason I'm saying that is because that's the trick of the devil. The reason you don't feel like going is because God's got something for you and the devil senses it. So he's going to do everything he can to keep you away from here. Oh, there might be a miracle waiting on you today, or there might just be a little word that someone says. Don't even have to come from the pulpit, but someone might say something that will encourage you. I want to give you a little story. I've told it before, but I want to tell it again. Back in the 90s, I was working at the cable company. And I don't know what was wrong with me, but I just was struggling. When I preached, you can see it in my preaching. Brother Dick had mentioned it to me, and we had talked about it years later, and he was talking to his mother, said, I don't understand what's wrong with Pastor Brother Tim, but something's just not right. I was struggling in my preaching, I was struggling in my walk, I was working, making good money, but I was depressed, didn't want to be in church. I tried to go on. I took some days off of work. I took some vacation days to fast and pray, and I couldn't even fast. I laid in my bed depressed for several days. Brother Gary called me. He says, no, it was Brother Carlos. Said, hey, we're going down to Brother Parsley's church today. Come on, you're going with us. I said, nah, man, I don't want to go. I'm not feeling well. Gary called me. He says, we're coming to get you. Get ready. So I got up, and my wife called me at work. She said, hey, Jim, who was my supervisor, said he's worried about you. He wants to call and check on you, make sure you're okay. I said, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be in Columbus. They come and got me. I sat in the back seat looking out the window. Depressed. Didn't know what was going on. There was just an oppressive spirit on me. Brother Gary's talking about how we may have an opportunity to be on the radio, and he looked back at me and he says, and I want you to be there with me. I want you to share. And I said, yeah. I looked out the window and said, yeah, like I got something to share. Like I got something to say that'll edify someone else. I went down there. We stopped and grabbed the bike, dude. We got there early. We got, I think it was the second or third, I think it was the third seat, third row. I mean, to the point that Parsley gave me eye contact several times while I was preaching. It was that close. Walked in, the atmosphere was just, it was like electricity. It was just, you could sense the presence of God just walking into the place. Walked up there, sat down. The worship service was probably great, but it was okay for me.
Sure.
Parsley got up and started preaching, made eye contact with me on several occasions. I said, for surely this man's going to call me out and give me a word, nothing. Got in the car, come home. But there was like a different atmosphere. That dark cloud that hung over me seemed to be a little higher. It was still there, just wasn't as low as it was. I felt a little lighter. Not light, not completely, but just a little lighter. Came home, went back to work, come in on Sunday and started preaching. And gradually, each week got better to the point I was back to my old self. I still to this day, 20 years later, 25 years later, I can't explain it. All I can say is being in the atmosphere of the presence of God did something. And it wasn't an instant deliverance. It wasn't an instant miracle. But something took place that day that gradually brought me back to where I needed to be. What I'm trying to tell you folks, the devil tried to cheat me out of going down there. But that's where I needed to be.
Yeah.
Amen. So when Satan comes to you and whispers in your ear and tells you how miserable you feel today, you can say, you're right, devil, but I'm going anyway.
Amen.
Yeah, I've done that a couple times.
Amen.
I told you last week, I've been kind of lightheaded. You know, I get good for a couple of days, and then I sit here and something's just not feeling right. I think it's mostly my sinuses, but I don't know. But the devil starts putting thoughts in your head. You know, I'm standing up here singing, something just not feeling right. And under my breath, I'm saying, I shall live and not die. I shall proclaim the glory of the Lord. I shall live and not die. And I shall proclaim the glory of the Lord.
Amen.
I shall live and not die. And I shall proclaim the glory of the Lord. God has you here for a purpose. He has you here to be a spokesman. He has you here to be a spokeslady. To speak for the gospel of the kingdom of God. To speak the gospel of the kingdom of God. To proclaim His good news.
Amen.
You're here